happy with the product delivered, that didn't come back to social market. And so I guess I would encourage you with your wording on your marketplace, with it, especially because you're doing the inspections, to say, if the car then breaks down 6 months later, you're not on the hook for something.
Yeah, that's something that I plan to have on the inspection, in that the mechanics cannot be held liable,
Yeah.
or Car Guy Auto Search will not be held liable for mechanical issues that develop, 2 days after you bought the car. It's kind of hard. You're still buying a used vehicle,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's very much like
you know.
marketing in the sense that, I mean, you can't give a guarantee that it's going to be totally flawless or to their satisfaction. Who knows what'll happen?
Yeah. There's some other really good examples on Share Tribe as well, if you want to look at other marketplaces that have all sorts of. Oh, here's another one. This was one, Burley, rent construction equipment. And I know that you're not in a rental game, but this one had a lot of great information on insurance and guarantees. Because if people are going to rent their construction equipment because they have a few extra diggers sitting around and they know they can get a lot of money by, leasing those out for the day, there's massive liability factors too. So I really like this one. It's called burleyrentals.com. Also built on Share Tribe as a really cool marketplace.
It's funny. We could spend like an entire session debating all of the various things that you could sell on a marketplace like Share Tribe
Totally.
that you don't own, right? It's the wonderful thing about these marketplaces is I could say, hey, I really want to get into the world of like selling, I don't know, hair scrunchies.
Yeah, totally. Well, it's hard
And
not
have
to
everybody,
imagining it because it's passive
yeah,
income
right?
too.
So it's really kind of thinking like I mean, this has long since been the case with selling, but what are the market needs right now? What are people looking for that they would buy that I don't have to sell?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Be fun.
Mhm.
I just started recording this a little bit late, but for anyone who's watching the replay, we're talking about Dale's new marketplace called carguyautosearch.com, where he's going to be selling used vehicles and purchasing them. And we were talking about Share Tribe as a really great place to host a marketplace. It's a nice platform. And Jen and I are hosting Social Market on there, socialmarketplace.io. And just it's funny because with this actually ties into our Wednesday workshop where we were talking about recurring revenue and passive income. And I mean, if you can collect commissions off of other people swapping goods, amazing, especially if
Yeah,
it's
being
fun.
the middleman has never been easier.
No, it's true. There was a class I ran a few years ago. It might have been one of our website classes. And there was a fellow in there. He was so great. And he had started a winter equipment rental company. And he was constantly trying to connect people with like their used skis, or their skis, their toboggans, their snowboards, their skates that weren't being used every single weekend, with those who just wanted to borrow them. But he was driving around town and doing all these connections. He had to custom build the software. Just one of those cases where now there's an out of the box plug and play tool like Share Tribe, and there's competitors to Share Tribe as well, but we've fallen in love with Share Tribe. They're from Helsinki and their team is so helpful. The CEO,
They're so responsive and personable.
yeah, they're incredible. And if you want more customization from an actual designer, they connected us with a Canadian designer who's like amazing.
Yeah.
Anyway, but just so cool how we're in this time now where like you want it, it exists. Go find the software. Someone's already built the platform for you to make it. You don't have to build it from scratch. And I just think the marketplace idea is so incredible because you're not stocking goods, hopefully. You're able to just like benefit off of other people's goods, and there's no shortage either, we learned, of marketplace conferences, podcasts, ebooks, like knowledge share. There's so many people in this because they're all trying to be the next Uber.
Yeah, and I think there are so many benefits to it too. If you consider, I mean, there's the whole world of upcycling things, right? So not wanting to dispose of goods that you no longer need that still have value. So having marketplaces that allow us to obviously dispose less and hopefully not be the disposable generation that the ones before us were.
Yeah.
And also, I think too, there's the whole idea that people don't want to be going into shops anymore, obviously. And I think that's going to stick. The whole idea that you can get whatever you need to acquire online.
Yeah, totally. Very cool. Well, thanks for the inspiration, Dale, on your marketplace. That's really fun. I'm just going to bring it up one more time. Car Guy Auto Search. I'll show it to everybody. everyone who's watching this riveting replay. We're talking marketplaces. So yeah, I'm excited to see where you take it. And when you've got your classifieds listed, let us know. But so far, I believe this site's built on WordPress, and it looks like it's got fantastic information. So
I
congratulations.
love the videos.
What do you feel like you're missing aside from the classifieds, Dale?
I think just the people that are willing to put their vehicle on and, take care of the fee. I want to do 2 more videos for the buy video and for a sell video. The first one there is just a welcome, just to show you, or just to explain kind of what everything's about. Really what I'm missing now is a little bit of time, energy, and grunt work that is available.
Cool. That was like a really slow
I so
down
appreciate-
talk for me, and then it really sped up at the end, but hopefully that's just my internet connection. Looks
No,
awesome.
and I got to say thank you, that you're willing to pop this up there and let anybody that reviews this check it out. I love it. Thank you so much.
Oh, no problem. This is fun. You're getting 1-to-1 support here, 3-to-1 from 3 marketers. I haven't said hi to Tyler yet. Hi, Tyler. How are you doing?
Yeah, sorry, I didn't know how to unmute you myself because you've got the screen big.
Oh, sorry.
I'm good. How's everybody?
Good.
Good.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Friday.
Nice.
Tyler, any thoughts on marketplaces? Any experience with them, or ideas around them?
Yeah, I mean, I think you just have to find the right fit. Like sometimes, yeah, you can be on a marketplace and other people are doing really well. Like I've had experiences where a peer's been like, oh, we joined this marketplace and we had like 1,000 new followers on Instagram and our sales went up in like the first day. And then I've had other people join it, or I've joined it, and it's like crickets. So
I wonder if there's something to be said for loading a business onto a marketplace that already exists
yeah.
and has a following, or building from scratch. I mean, as Kelly and we're very lucky that we get to tap into the enormously successful social school, but having that rhythm of, buyers versus sellers, right? You have 2 very distinct audiences that you have to communicate to on one platform, which can be a challenge. And you also want to be sure that you don't have a whole bunch of products and no buyers, or a whole bunch of buyers and no products. And so you really have to ensure that you're bringing people in with a rhythm that makes sense. So everybody is getting what they need. In our case, obviously, we need to ensure that, businesses have enough marketers to choose from to service their business needs, and also that our contractors have enough work to kind of fill their own funnels. So that's certainly been a challenge for us, and certainly a challenge I imagine other marketplaces might experience, unless you've got that established following.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I always just say like it's the difference between like, do you want to be on the bus or do you want to drive the bus? And there's like benefits to both, right?
Yeah.
And lots of times, I'd rather drive the bus because I'd just rather control creatives, workflow, whatever. But other times I just don't have the energy to drive the bus. So I'm much happier to just be on the bus and kind of like come to the party instead of plan the party.
Yeah.
But I think, you know what, like, honestly, this is just my thought. And this is like for everything I do across social media, and all the stuff that I do, it's always education. Cause it's like exactly what you're saying. Like, you want to get people into the product, but you want to get your contractors filled up. And I think in the end of the day, everyone just needs to be continually educated on the value, and continually educated on the ease of the system. Because it's still relatively new. Do you know what I mean? It's not second nature to most people to use a marketplace like in that way.
Yeah.
And I know even for me as a consumer, like, so say for example, I needed to find a graphic designer for t-shirts, right? Well, I went to like 3 different marketplaces. well, one guy was crazy, one guy kind of stood me up, another person this and that, like, you know what I mean? Like I wasted all this time, and essentially I ended up finding two graphic designers that I wanted to work with, literally just by like Googling graphic design or following a few rabbit holes on Instagram and following some different people, right? That I
Do you know
like
what
their
though,
work.
Tyler?
And
That's
then,
such an interesting point that you're making, is that as much as we're selling, we're essentially taking all of the sales process online and getting away from that storefront. The human experience still matters. So it's not all about how beautiful is your marketplace or how easy was it to find the products. It's also, okay, how human is this experience? Do I like the people that have been brought in? Am I getting the support that I need? And if not, bye-bye, I'm going to go somewhere where I feel connected to the person behind the product or the service. So that's
well,
interesting.
and keep in mind too, like, so I recently used Upwork, and
Hmm.
I hired somebody to do a job. They did a sample of the job, and I was like, this looks great. I sent them the job, and what they sent me back, like my 10-year-old niece could have done it better. Like, it was like literally unusable. And so then at that point, if you've ever used Upwork, money goes into like an escrow or something. I don't know what they
Yeah.
reference it as. And then basically once you've done the job, then the person gets it. And I was like, well, I don't want to pay them the money. And they were like, well, you have to pay them, but you can dispute it. And then there's a 30-day process. And then if we decide that the work wasn't good, then we'll return the funds to you. I'm like, fucking keep the $100 so I know you're recording. But I'm like, it's $100 job. So now I'm out $100. I still don't have the job done, but I'm not going to take 30 days to dispute $100.
Of
Like,
course.
do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I mean, that's the other thing too. So what is my consumer experience going to be like with something like Upwork at this point, right? Because now I know that there's a possibility I could interview 6 people, find someone I like, spend $100, and still be at square one with no usable content.
Yeah. Which is a risk always, right? Whether it's Fiverr,
Totally,
Upwork, or Jen and I
totally.
discovered one called Top Tal, as in top talent, and
Yeah,
it blew my mind. This is when we were comparing other, digital freelancer marketplaces or digital services, and Top Tal specifically specializes in finding like high end, marketers, developers, just anyone kind of in the digital marketing world, and connecting them with companies who really need high-end talent, and they charge a premium and their markup is 100%.
right,
So
right,
But
right,
they have like a person who match makes you
yeah,
effectively, right?
right.
So it's not like you just go on and you buy your service and it's all kind of off
Mhm, mhm.
platform. They really guide you through that process. And so and you probably would have got exactly the product you wanted in that scenario, Tyler, but you would have, Kelly's right, you would have paid a huge premium both with your dollar and your time, because there's obviously the time investment of going through that whole matchmaking and onboarding process. And so I think it can be difficult for businesses today to kind of figure out, okay, here's my budget. I want to get something obviously that fits my budget and fits my business needs and my timelines. So where do I go for that? And I don't know. It's a tricky process, I believe, for businesses.
yeah.
Well, like, so like on the social school marketplace, is there like any kind of an interview process, or like how do people couple?
Yeah, like we've done, and I was thinking this for Dale actually too. So with his car consign or his car sales process, it might be helpful. So what we've done is we've got a client intake form and then a contractor intake form. And those
Mhm.
are built actually in Kajabi because that's a beautiful form maker slash, profile builder for us to have access to. And then from there we vet them. So the contractors are vetted for their work or their expertise or their area of interest, and then we put them into either a yes pile or a no pile, and the no is a thank you, this isn't right for us at this time, and the yes pile then sends them into this sequence of learning and training. So it's just a little mini course that they go through that shows them how to properly build their profile. Jake's been through it, how to build their listings, how to join our members group, which is a private group called Agency Insiders, where we're hoping to add additional resources and templates and tools to their toolkit every week. Yesterday, we had a live call to, like in real time, go through building listings.
And just answer questions and provide support. And we hope that that obviously grows to brainstorming and networking so that all of our contractors can continue to be educated and up their skills.
Yeah.
But from there, Tyler, you could still have a contractor go through that whole process and maybe not deliver adequately on your job. And so what we're doing is other marketplaces, this is not a new concept.
Totally.
We'll have a system where they get reviews that are live. So if they don't do the job well, they get a poor score, and then they won't get more jobs, obviously.
Yeah.
And down the road, we'll have a tiered system too, where we'll be able to reward those who do have great results and great reviews and all of that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think I've had lots of good experiences on Marketplace, but I've also had some not great ones. So yeah, just kind of from the consumer perspective, it's still a lot of time and you still just really just want to get the job done.
Totally.
So
we've had the same experiences, which is why we started the marketplace, was we believed there was a way to do things better. And I think part of what we have done is to actually pay our marketers what they're worth. So in the other platforms, they take a huge cut of what the marketer is selling their services for. And we've said, we want to attract really great talent and keep them. And so we're going to pay them their full rate. So hopefully that means that we attract the best in the business, and the ones that aren't good and aren't performing will very quickly get filtered out of the system with a poor review. And it sucks that they have to have that poor review, but hopefully too, our screening process is bringing in good talent too, so we don't get the 1-star marketers. But as we've all discussed, marketing's subjective, so it's really difficult.
It is subjective.
Yeah. Whereas the communal marketplace, I've listened to several of Ryan Gill's podcasts and joined Communo myself out of curiosity. And Tyler, you went through joining Communo too, right? As a potential contractor and also member. And their model's unique and interesting. One thing that I've heard Ryan say in several different platforms, and I respect the heck out of those guys for what they've built. Communo's massive though. They claim to have, I think, 30 or 40,000 global members now of freelancers.
Yeah, I don't know how many are active.
Right,
but,
totally. Yeah. And then the jobs that they're basically trying to connect these freelancers to are basically, from what I can tell, they're sort of like public listings that they're pulling in and then saying, but maybe not, maybe Communo's getting a commission, or they're getting priority access to those job listings, or I'm not really sure. I know they do have a lot of partnerships, but it's just another way to do it. Ryan is absolutely, it sounds like, set on the idea that you should pay to be a part of a marketplace as the client, just to even have access to that bank of talent. Or Dale, just for people to have access to shop your cars, they're paying a monthly fee or a one-time join fee or whatever. That maybe doesn't make sense if you're transacting once for a car, but if you're transacting often for staff or for freelance support, yeah, I get that. You cover your upfront costs as the marketplace as opposed to bury them in. But this is where we went back and looked at our market research, and people said, no, I don't want to pay, a monthly fee to be part of a marketplace that I may or may never shop a freelancer for, or a guitar studio or whatever, a swimming pool in Europe, but I'm happy to pay per use as a commission. And then I think most freelancers or most sellers, whether you're selling consignment, you're selling your house, you're selling your guitar gear or your whatever, you kind of want to get your full price. And then if there's an add-on that's willing to be paid, we've all heard the stories of DoorDashes, how they just carve it out from the bottom line of the restaurateur. The Uber driver getting paid peanuts when Uber takes 50%, or when you start digging into the public information on marketplace commissions, it is fascinating. And there's a reason that Uber is $1 billion company, and that marketplaces are so huge. I've just been blown away by, like I said, there's conferences, podcasts, there's so much marketplace fodder out there because everyone's trying to be the next Uber, or at least they see a niche opportunity for themselves with, construction rental gear or whatever. And they don't have to own that gear at all. It's so cool. Anyway.
How are you doing, Jake?
Oh, I'm doing fine. Yeah, another thing too is once you hire someone through Upwork or you find a contractor for a graphic design service, besides the work and finding them, you have to commit to working with them so they learn your business. And I'm kind of going through that now. I needed to find a company to create a bunch of creative so that we can keep putting fresh creative in our Facebook ads. And I don't have time to create videos, but so I looked around, and there's a couple of companies where you can pay a monthly fee and get unlimited creative, or $300 or $400, and you get 5 creative pieces a month.
Is this like Design Pickle and stuff like that?
Yeah, Design Pickle is one. I haven't used them. I used someone very similar to them. They're called Constant Creative. It's with a K and a K. So I'm using Constant Creative, and it's not bad. It's like $300 and $400 a month, and you get 5 pieces. I chose them because they were recommended by people I follow in the marketing area on Twitter. And I follow the owner, and I agree with his view on marketing and all that. But then actually with working with them, they assign all these different designers to each piece. And I've only had the same designer twice, and I've done about 8 projects already.
Wow.
So
that must be challenging for consistency.
It is. And for learning too.
Right.
We're putting together ads that, and this audience happens to be seniors. So there has to be high contrast, not line spacing appropriate, so the sentences don't blur.
Right.
There's some specific things, and they're not learning this. Every time I get something back, is it just increase the line size.
That's so frustrating.
Make the font darker, not a light gray on a gray background. Yeah.
It is that's really unfortunate.
Yeah. Well, I'm working through it, but you got to commit to that too.
Yeah, totally.
Having them learn your business.
It's good to hear that though, Jake, because I've been eyeing a few myself. I just put graphicszoo.com in there as well in the chat. I have been waiting to talk to someone who's been using a service like this. There's one out of Edmonton. I just wish I could remember the name of it. It wasn't Design Pickle, but I do get targeted by their ads. But similar, where for $300 a month, you get unlimited graphics, but you're only allowed to have one job going at a time. So I think, and they say 3 to 5 minutes turnaround or something. So
when was the last time anyone in here has only had one job going? Give me a year. Well, I was born in 76, so I'm gonna pick 76.
It's interesting that these agencies are trying to find retainer work. I don't blame them.
Yeah.
How do they get people? And really, that's what they're doing anyway. They've just packaged it into this cool little monthly membership. But when you have an agency on record, they're on retainer. They're doing your graphics every month anyway. Generally, as many as you need, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know why I'm always all of a sudden so enamored by this concept. Because
Well, and I run a digital agency, like a social media company. And honestly, we do retainer work, but we do pretty high touch. We're filming video and photos with people every month. But one of the things, just as you're saying this, one of the things that clients say to us all the time is just after we've been with them for 3-4 months, sometimes clients don't even want to have a strategy meeting with us. They're just you know what to do. And we do learn their system and learn the brand tone and learn what clients, even just what their preferences are. This one client likes these kinds of videos or these types of photos, or the one client's needs, and e-commerce is just so weird. So it is something I appreciate it as a customer. I know my clients appreciate it long-term with us as we get into it. And I actually when we do project-based work, which is not rare, but it's definitely less than 10% of what we do. I always have to build in extra money and time or invoicing because it just takes that much longer to learn people's preferences, and the approval process is much slower. And whereas with clients that are with me long term, they're they have like a really preferred rate on videos and photos because we have minimal revisions and we just know what we're doing, right? So I mean, yeah, that kind of works for us and it works for our clients, but
So
it is
funny, the
definitely,
retainer clients are, they're the most profitable and take the least amount of work.
yeah.
But God, do I love the projects. Like I
Mhm.
love that whole process of onboarding someone new and going through this strategy and lighting up my creative centers again. But you're right, they're not nearly as profitable unless you build in the hours for walking through that process with them of learning about them and all of the branding and tone and
Hmm.
but yeah, that's what I love to sink my teeth into.
Well, and at Press and Post too, my former agency, it was really frustrating for us because we were so proud of the strategies we would build for companies, particularly digital and social media marketing strategies. And we would always say, this is not some binder plan that's going to sit on the shelf and it's not going to cost you 20 grand. It's going to be $2,500 to $3,500. It's going to take us a month and XYZ sit down meetings with you, which is like audits and discovery sessions and opportunities. And then we're going to map out your ideal, like, platforms, tactics, campaigns, voice, tone, like here's your year ahead. And we were so proud to then present it, but we weren't making it mandatory that then they execute with us on a monthly basis going forward. So not only would we then have done all this work to have to go back and hunt and find someone to do the next strategy for, and those strategies were so involving as opposed to like, as fun as that is for ideas, it's also fresh ideas that are tough to come up with every time, right? And it took a lot of work by our team. And then they would go and attempt to execute it on their own very often. And not only would we not have the work, but it would just look awful in a lot of ways. So then we'd almost look worse because this was our strategy executed poorly by, you know, some windmill company that had no idea how to write copy or create a graphic. So it was sort of a lose-lose. And it became one of those things where, yeah, it was a mandatory piece of the puzzle. Not only do you need the strategy, but you've got to commit to 6 months or something after the fact. But not
Yeah.
ideal for clients either that don't want
Yeah, they
to.
don't like to be roped into those situations unless it is a retainer client, which we all know, like I said, they're profitable and it's nice because you know the company and the brand so well that it just kind of goes, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, at that point too, if you had had the 6 months, it's so easy to pass the torch and say, just kind of continue doing what
Yeah.
we've been doing. But to say to a client, yeah, you have to commit to 6 months,
Yeah.
it's so funny. It just gets the hair up on the back of their necks. Like, I don't know, man, this feels like a trap. But
Maybe.
really,
Unless they're really excited about it though, because the flip side is they see what you've presented and then you're like, now we can do this for you. And they're like, okay, you know, I actually, yeah, I guess it's
yeah, although I honestly, I would argue that like there were some really phenomenal strategies created. It's like you need that ambassador on the other end who gets it. You
Yeah.
know, they can actually see it and they're like, okay, no, I understand enough to know that there is real gold in here. And I also know that I'm not capable of replicating that yet or mining that gold. So yeah, I think sometimes you just really need the right champion on the other end to really understand.
Mhm. Or ways
Mhm.
to keep them excited. Jake, how do you do
Yeah.
that after you've kind of held someone's hand and taught them? And I noticed in your social market listing, you've actually explicitly said that, which is really forward thinking of you. I will show you how to run your Facebook ad campaign and then set you off running with it. So have you decided that that's your better plan, your better strategy, as opposed to saying, I'm going to keep running this for you? Do you just get better uptake if you say, I'm going to teach you and set you free?
Yes. Well, I hope to. It's kind of like a lead magnet. It's kind of like put the strategy together, hope we connect. Yeah, you can do it on your own. Like no pressure, go ahead. But I'm also here to. That's why my second listing is a monthly managing the campaign too.
Cool.
So yeah, and in marketing that does kind of work.
Yeah.
Like offer a lead magnet to explain how to do whatever. But we're also here to do it too. Like
Yeah.
you can also hire us to do it.
Right.
Yeah. So that's kind of what I'm hoping.
Tyler, when you're securing new clients, how much do you show them? Right? How much do you give them to ensure that they continue on a path with you? Because that's something I always struggled with in a past life is you don't want to give away work for free, but you also want to show them what you're capable of.
Were you asking me?
Yeah.
Oh, um, Yeah, I mean, everyone gets a 1 hour consultation or whatever you want to call it, meeting. And I would say in that hour, I'll go as full hardcore as I want. I mean, obviously you feel around certain things because it's like there's a difference between discussing what I can do and then discussing what I'm going to do. Do you know what I
You don't
mean?
go in there with like little teasers, like I shot a tiny piece of video here that
Yeah, I mean, I'll
could
give
be
them
used.
reference points. I mean, I think for me, like, um, before people sign with me, it's just a question. It's more on me, right? Because I know who's going to succeed with our system. Um, that sounds like I don't know. It's not really a system, but our process. So I mean, for me, it's like I don't know how to say this, and I don't mean this to sound weird. Saskatoon's not very big, and we just have always had work. So knock on wood, I just haven't had to be very, I don't know. And I'm also like kind of with, I guess, with sales, I'm just very engaged with like podcasting and live videos and posting. So people just always kind of see us out there on social media. So that builds a lot of trust for me in ways that I just don't. Yeah, like people that don't do video, I'm like, you just have to do more video, especially now because you can't handshake at networking events. Um, but yeah, in terms of how much I give people, more so for me, I'm looking in my initial meetings to see what I can take from them to understand who they are, what they need. Like, because we don't really work with those clients that are like, well, I want 10,000 new followers on Instagram by the end of the week. Cool, that's not us. Do you know what I mean? Um, and there's definitely clients like that out there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I for me, like in that first meeting, it's just like if I need to find the reference points or like, these are videos that would, illustrate our skills in that department, or this is projects I can talk to that we've had success in the past. But yeah, I find it more challenging actually with coaching clients. So in coaching clients, people that want to get into management, it's not as hard because they're just mostly like, oh, this all sounds great. Oh, and you can see like the sense of relief on their face. Like they're like, this could possibly solve a problem for me. But coaching people are still keen to do things on their own. So they're just digging for gold in that meeting. They're like, how many secrets can I get out of you in this 1 hour? And I don't want to give away all my coaching for free.
I know.
So that I
I
think
honestly, I
that's
needed a gag order at client meetings sometimes. I'd
yeah,
be like, I would get so excited about what
yeah.
we could do that I'd start spilling.
Hmm.
My
Hmm.
partner would always be like kicking me like, Shut up, Jen. Like,
I
they're gonna
actually,
pay us for those ideas."
well, and in my coaching meetings, when I'm setting people up, I actually, I don't scare people, but I definitely like to instill in people how much work it's going to be, because I think a lot of times people are like, oh, I'll hire a coach, and then it's like easy. It's like, no, it's like you're gonna hire a coach and you're gonna do like burpees till you throw up. Like, do you know what I mean? Like it's super hard work. Like,
Kelly, your coaching sessions at social school in person were always like enormously successful.
yeah,
Translating that to digital though, online now that we can't have those like in-person coaching sessions and the speakers and the collaboration that happens in a room. I mean, how are you finding that replicating that online right now is working with the new
yeah.
the new social school?
Well, one-on-one coaching is great. I mean, it's no different than sitting across the table. I've been really enjoying doing like Zoom, like workshops and stuff. Like I've been hired for a few associations to train their people on whatever the topic is. And so I just sort of like send them my deck and then I pipe in and then I'm there for an hour teaching my deck and then answer some questions. And that's been really fun. Yeah, I don't, for me, it hasn't been as big. It's just more a struggle, like when I'm doing like stuff that's recorded for like an association, I'll usually throw up my green screen or do something a little bit nicer with my background. But I had a client one time, well, they didn't hire me, but she was kind of snooty. and she made a comment about the magnets on my fridge. And she goes, "Oh, I love your magnets." And I was just like, you know what, honey? And I didn't say this in the meeting, but I was like, you're hiring me and two 20-year-olds who are like sunk so deep in social media trends that we're going to be able to make really cool stuff for you. So if you want to hire somebody that doesn't have like a freaking French fry magnet and wears a suit and tie, go right ahead, because I know the exact effing content they're going to make, and it's going to be boring and expensive, but that's totally your prerogative. So I'm like, I'm never going to apologize for my French fry magnet, because I'm literally running a social media business where I coach people how to dance on TikTok. Like, I'm not a suit and tie person. Like, and then people that don't get it, don't get it. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Was
and
that
that's
Kelly?
okay.
As I'm staring at my shirt that really needs some ironing. I put on one of my blazers that hangs on the corner in the corner. No. But one thing, Tyler, that I've loved that you've told me, this kind of goes back a little bit to Jake's monthly graphic design services, but opportunities, is that unnamed education provider in Saskatoon, Tyler, that you've been able to benefit from. Not everyone would have the intel that you do to know that there's a certain organization in your community that is pumping out trained marketers that then fall on their face, that then come to you and hire you to actually execute it for them.
Yeah, well, because and this is really just even with your marketplace, your biggest barrier to entry is always education, right? People don't even know why they want it. They don't even know what they're signing up for, and they don't even know why they would need to sign up for it. Do you know what I mean? So like for me, I know that we're very competitively priced. I know that we provide great value, but if somebody is still that mentality that's like, well, why would I pay someone to do Facebook? You're just pushing a button.
Yeah.
Well, what does a pilot do on an airplane? There's a couple buttons, they push a few buttons and you're off and going, right? Like, a lot of us push buttons technically, but there's a lot of skill behind what we're doing, right? So,
Well,
and then even,
and a lot of learning after you
right,
learn how to push the first few buttons. It changes weekly or
totally.
yearly.
I know. Imagine if a pilot got into an airplane and all of the buttons were different one day, and they were like,
Exactly.
"Oh, figure it out." I mean, that's marketing today, right? All the buttons are changing.
They get a text,
Yeah.
like, we've changed the functionality of your controls. We just thought it needed a facelift. So
one of the best lines I heard in the summer, I was taking a course and I was crushing it on the weekends while gardening. And it was a reminder to like keep coming back to the materials. And it said, just because, Taekwondo, you're a black belt, doesn't mean that you're a black belt for life. You need to keep working on it every single day. And even if you're a yellow belt, like my little 9-year-old, it's like constant practice and iteration. And I always find that the people that get so frustrated about a certain platform where they're like, bah, like Tyler, LinkedIn, it's not useful for me. Just joking. I know you love it. But that they're not in it very often. And I don't mean you, because I know you're in every platform, but often a client will say to me, no, we don't do Facebook. And I'm like, oh, in the nicest way possible. There's a lot of opportunity there. And if your users aren't there, by all means, ignore it. But chances are they are, because there's like 2.4 billion people on the platform. And it's just a matter of, like all of us, if you're not familiar with something, you're not going to buy into it. But I also really find lately that people, when it comes to coaching and consulting, which a lot more practitioners are aiming for, I've noticed these days, it seems a lot of social media marketers are wanting to coach people into doing the work and not necessarily execute it themselves, because we've all figured out how bloody hard it is to constantly produce brilliant content on behalf of another company for $500 a month. It's just like almost impossible. And so they're wanting to coach and consult, and I think, yeah, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but I'm really finding myself as well that the requests we're getting are like, where's your guided online programs? Where's your like hands-on? Where's your in-person? And we're all zoomed out, but I think that's always been the case. It's why we built our campus. People want to learn in person. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm the same. When I'm signing up for something, whether it's a fitness program or a coaching this or that or anything, I'm like, well, do I get to see other humans? So I think no matter what, like even Jake with your monthly design, your graphic design, if you just had a person that you could phone up and have an hour of their time or half an hour of like FaceTime or conversation. I don't know. I just feel like it makes all the difference in the world. Cost an extra 50
I
bucks.
keep like thinking back to Dale too in the past few minutes here, how you would then take your platform where you're going to be buying and selling cars. How do you bring the human element into that on a platform where you're selling something that is obviously hardware? It's a physical product. And so how do you bring people into a human experience with a product like that? It's interesting.
Mhm.
That's a good question. Something I'm gonna have to think about, because yeah, that's what's gonna be missing in the future.
I mean,
In
you've
a
got your
lot.
videos on the site now, which is great, but I think it needs to go a step further.
Well, and I've got on Instagram and Facebook. I've like car guy underscore auto search on Instagram. I do weekly videos, Tech Tip Tuesday,
Oh,
and
cool.
that I've been picking up people 2, 3, 4 a week.
Oh, that's
People
awesome.
starting to pick up on it, and yeah, I hang with a of group of ladies. I'm the token male in this other group, but
That's the best way to have it.
they're a high performance group. And well, you know what? They have all a different perspective than I do, particularly in the automotive world, because I'm a car person, and they bring a different perspective, and I can appreciate so much their views and saying, well, what about this? What about that? And they're giving me ideas for Tech Tip Tuesday, and saying, hey, do something about. One lady said do tow ropes, so I did a 3 week thing on tow ropes and how it works. And the reason I do it is because there's a lot of people out there, particularly under the age of probably 30, I'm going to say, that don't have a lot of mechanical or automotive knowledge or know-how, that they don't know what they're trying to do, or if they got hung up in a ditch, how do they get themselves out? Battery maintenance, that kind of thing.
I know you're right. And good for you for doing all of this networking. I think you're doing the right thing and setting your company up for success. But yeah, you're right. I think about the bike companies out there that are doing the same thing, where you buy a bike package, and the package includes lessons on how to change your tire, how to oil your chains, all the gear that you need to kind of give your bike a quick tune up. And I think it's brilliant.
Well, and also just like, so I love that. Sorry about the hammering on my house. This is day 4 now.
Oh, you can't hear it.
Okay. But the,
Oh, yeah, you can.
Oh, there it is.
Spoke too soon.
not going crazy. Paul says to me the other day, he's like, thank goodness our dog is deaf. Can you imagine how much anxiety she'd have all day that you'd have to deal with? I was like, I'm not deaf. My anxiety. Anyway, so when it comes to the content that you can create, Dale, amazing. You've got to do it. You don't have a choice. I hate to say it, and none of us do. You got to show that you're the guy behind the business, and you're trustworthy and human, and you're so full of resources. I just put in the chat there, answerthepublic.com. I did a quick chat or a quick search for used car. And remember, using the words, the keywords that your idiot clients or potential customers are going to use. They're not going to say like tow rope or, properly buying the right blah, blah. They're going to be like used car if they have a question. And it's really cool. Answer the public. There's like
this is so cool.
million different blog post or, Instagram live starters for you. When are used car prices dropping? When are used car dealerships good? Over in the
this is so good.
Which used car is most reliable? Which used car site is best? Which used car reviews? But usually you can find some really great, again, content starters, because these are the questions people are asking the internet. And this is just straight up keyword research. But what I was going to say is there an opportunity for you to have FaceTime between the buyer and the seller? And I always wonder why we don't do this more often when it comes to our houses and when it comes to bigger purchases like cars. If you're going to be in a transactional state, person to person, especially if you set up your classified area so that I'm buying so-and-so's car, like if it's not being handled formally by a dealership, why can't I talk to you and ask you if it has any quirks, or I don't know. And I know not every seller's comfortable with that, but maybe there is an opportunity if they wanted to for the seller to even just post a 30-second video about the
I
car.
was just gonna say that. Yes.
You know, like
Brilliant.
this new real
Yeah.
estate company, a friend of mine, her and her brother and a bunch of pals started. It's called Bode. And it's incredible. It's disrupting the way we buy and sell houses. And I love it. It's basically like puts the hands in the control of the seller who doesn't want to give away 8% commission on the price of their house, which, if we go back to 45 minutes ago, is clawed off their price. It's not an add-on. It's literally clawed out of the bottom line of your house. And we all have our own thoughts about, you know, those fees, and any real estate agent will tell you why they're warranted, which fine. But if you want to have the choice to sell it yourself, Bode's made it so that you have incredible tools to show your house, to book them in, to be there or not, and to be human about it. Like when someone buys our house, I want to be able to say to them, once the hammering's done, like, you're going to love this house, but the shower's got this weird quirk and the upstairs toilet is a bit of a mess and blah, 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 blah. But like, here's what's awesome. Or I don't know.
It's the storytelling. I've actually always said that in real estate, what I think that every realtor misses the mark on is the storytelling. Tell me the story of your house. Tell me about the next door neighbors, or how many children play on the street, or, you know, we had our wedding in our backyard, right? Like, those experiences they move us about the house. And I think you can do the same thing with a car. Like, imagine saying, I took this car on the most amazing road trip of my life down to Palm Springs with my girlfriends, and here's what we did. And this car was everything. We napped in it, we laughed in it, we played songs in it. Like, I honestly think that if there was that opportunity to kind of bind people more to those big products, right? To make, we are emotional buyers sometimes. And so you have to make people feel something about the product. So you're so right, Kelly. A 30-second video where people could kind of tell you the story of the car, it'd be brilliant.
Or even like a photo even of the person. I mean, if it's going to be a classified, like with the marketplaces we were looking at, particularly that construction company one, as well as wheelprice.com, that are both built on ShareTribe. The construction company one was burleyrentals.com. I love the word burly. But you can see who the seller is, much like Kijiji or Facebook Marketplace, and then you can decide if you like them or not. The reason I like Facebook Marketplace more than Kijiji is I can better creep the person who's about to buy and who I want to sell to, and choose to let them come to my house when I'm alone or whatever, you know? Are they legit? Where do they live? Does this make sense? So yeah, we want to know who's behind the stuff we buy all the time. And I don't know, Dale, maybe it's not possible, but even a photo goes a long, long way to see someone's face and decide if they're trustworthy or not.
Or to educate your sellers on the storytelling and their description a bit more too, right? So same thing, if you were onboarding people to your marketplace, to say, here are some tips and tricks that we have learned better sell cars, right? You want to tell people, you know, more than, you know, the rims on the tires. You want to tell people about exactly that, the details and the human experiences of that car.
And
I like that. That's a brilliant idea. And if I can put that in the sales video, even in the buy video, where it comes up and you know, just say that, make a short video, post it in with everything else, and give the story of your car. You know, like, we went to the Grand Canyon and the transmission blew up in Utah, you know, so we had to get everything changed.
Yeah, totally.
Or maybe just how big it is or something. But yes.
Yeah, maybe the story of how they fixed the transmission.
Or like the guy, when I bought a car after watching one YouTube video of this 6'7" foot tall man crawling into the third row of the redesigned Honda Pilot. And I was at the time shopping for a Toyota 4Runner, and I saw this YouTube video and I literally went and bought a Honda Pilot the next day. Because of that video, I'm not joking. He was some car dealer in Seattle who still doesn't know how effective his one YouTube video it was, when I was at the bottom of my funnel of search trying to determine, like, literally I searched interior space between Toyota Highlander and Toyota 4Runner, and what popped up but this well-optimized Honda Pilot 2016 video. And I didn't tell anyone, and I bought the car the next day. That's how our household rolls. But one thing, Dale, I was just realizing, so you know how we're all so much more able and kind of expecting that we can go in and see who's behind what we buy, whether it's a big company or small. So here I have been selling a lot of furniture lately and just trying to get rid of stuff on Kijiji and Facebook Marketplace, and I can't stand the routine, but it's necessary, or else you're headed to the dump every day. And I have also been aware of the fact that I'm worried about my Kijiji reviews or my reply time. And I'm like gaming it where I'm like, I have to reply to all these morons who are just like sometimes spamming me or the things, whatever, because I want my like reply to be over 90%.
I'm the same on Airbnb.
Yeah,
Like
totally.
I'm constantly worried about my rating, because your rating actually impacts where you show up in the search for the properties.
Absolutely. So what if this relates to the fact that, Dale, especially in car land, yes, it's nice to have a video of the car, some imagery or a story behind it. Great. But what about the fact that the seller, the more transparent they are, of course, the better it's going to, just
Can rate
overall
them.
support them. But you can somehow use this as a bit of a sales tactic to say that, like, no one's going to post a lemon if they know that it's attached to their profile, Whereas I'm far more like weary of a car that I have no idea where it came from, and it's on some used car dealer's lot sold by the used car dealer who may also be screwing me. But if I know that Jimmy's behind it and I can actually see his face, and that's Kijiji versus Facebook Marketplace. Facebook Marketplace, I can see so much more about you, and I can actually message you after the fact if you screwed me over, and so there's this like onus on the seller. And that's the same reason why when we get out of an Uber, they're like, please give me a 5-star review. Like, these reviews matter so much. So now it's less about, well, the risk has just been mitigated or lessened, I feel like, for the person, but for the purchaser, thanks to all these review and referral and just transparency options now that we have as buyers,
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think to have a review process and how did your sale go? Did you, when you find out somebody's that Johnny is looking at this 2006 Ford pickup, that did he buy it? Did it, and then it comes up as sold. Well, did Johnny buy it? Did David buy it? Did Sue Ann buy it?
Yeah.
And then you get them to fill out a questionnaire, a small short questionnaire as to how the sale went.
Yeah.
Right.
I like that.
Maybe they're not going to like it. Maybe people want to get rid of their lemons and it's kind of like how you don't want to sell a car to your family member, but so you don't want to create.
Well, but that's why every vehicle gets an inspection.
Yeah, fair enough.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think we have to wrap. I don't want to steal everybody's time. I know it's Friday, but for after 11, some of you may have other commitments. As always, we want to thank you for joining us. And I love that the banter today was really around, marketplaces, and obviously near and dear to Kelly and I, but obviously, hopefully, Dale coming up soon here. So thanks for everybody. I think that we had some good conversation and highlights here.
Yeah.
I thank you. Thank everybody for your input. I appreciate it. Big time.
Yeah, ditto.
Awesome.
And Jake, please keep us posted on how things go with your monthly graphic design subscription. I'm really curious.
I will. I'll let you know.
Okay, awesome.
All right. Thank you,
Thanks,
guys.
everyone.
Bye.
Take
Bye.
care.